Hello, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Joining Me Today podcast. Pointing right in your face. But anyway, welcome back to another episode of the Joining Me Today podcast here for episode 29 of the show. We're 1 off 30, we're 11 off 40, and we're a very, very long number away from 1,689. But anyway, God, that really wasn't funny, was it? But anyway, goodness, that really wasn't funny, was it? But anyway, welcome back to another episode of the Joining Me Today podcast. And once again on the show, I've got some amazing, amazing guests. But before we get to that, it is time for the third edition of the Joining Me Today podcast Music Awards. This is basically it's basically a music awards that I do and stuff like that for the podcast. Wow, what a surprise based off the name. It's basically an opportunity for me and stuff to I love the idea of like music awards and stuff like that. I love sort of I mean, giving like sort of things, accreditation, giving things like commendations. That was the that was the word I actually really wanted to go for and stuff. Giving sort of songs, sort of music videos, albums, and stuff like that. Just giving them and stuff like that, like not just the usual, like I do my song recommendations obviously for my songs and stuff like that. I don't actually do shout outs for albums or music videos and stuff, and I love doing that, but I really love the opportunity to actually to basically give it actual awards, you know what I mean? Sort of give them and stuff like that a special and stuff like that sort of form of shout out. And this is one of my favorite things to do on the show. And I'm so happy that we are here for the third edition. There we go. I'll actually show the fingers on screen. The third edition of the JMT Podcast Music Awards. So to go into a little bit more detail and stuff like that quickly and stuff before we get into the nominees and stuff like that, and all sort of go into the different awards and categories and stuff like that. I just wanted to sort of quickly break down and stuff like that before we get on with things, how this is going to work and stuff. Basically, there are four main awards. Um, Three of them and stuff like that will basically serve as like the beginning, middle, and end of the awards and stuff. The album of the year is going to be the first category. Music video of the year is going to be the second category, and song of the year is going to be the final sort of category. So that obviously that's going to be like the beginning, middle, and end major sort of categories and stuff like that in the awards. And then I do a special and stuff, fourth category and stuff like in terms of main category. That is going to be the Special Appreciation Award and stuff, and I'll go into a bit more detail about that one when we get to it. But this year, I've actually added an additional and stuff, a few awards actually. And so I was going to say it's just one. No, it is actually a few awards that I've added this year. The first awards I've added this year is I recently launched my Joining Me Again podcast, and on that show I do song recommendations like the main show, but I do song recommendations of songs of previous guests, and got that sort of planted the idea in my mind. That sort of got me thinking about I'd like to do something a bit more with this kind of concept of shouting out and stuff like that, music and stuff like that from previous guests. And I thought, how about I add into my music awards a section dedicated to giving out awards just to previous guests. So I have an award for JMT podcast guests, yada yada yada. Previous, previous. Hang on a minute, no. JMT previous podcast guest, music video of the year, song of the year, album of the year slash EP of the year. I've combined that sort of together, and that actually leads me nicely into describing the fact that that sounded really like I was. That sounded really like professional, like you're back in school. Remember your when you're doing the test, maybe you got your describe word, and if the question asks you explain, then it's different. Um, oh God, now I'm getting flashbacks to being in doing tests. fun times. But anyway, and so I'm also going to be introducing an EP of the Year award and stuff. That's going to be a mini award and stuff like that. The three main categories and stuff I said about earlier, they've all got nominees. They'll have five nominations and stuff like that each, and the Special Appreciation Award and stuff like that is just there's no nominees for that. That's just one sole winner, and that is the same for all these new awards that I've just spoke about and stuff. So yeah, we've got a whole new sort of slate sort of awards and stuff like that this year that I'm really excited to basically and stuff like that give out winners for and stuff like that to talk about for the first time and stuff that'll be exciting. And how about we just get on with it? Because I feel like I am waffling a little bit, so I apologize for that. But yeah, let's get on with the JMT Podcast Music Awards. As I said before, the first category of this year's JMT Podcast Music Awards is going to be the Album of the Year category. And the nominees are Gaffer Tape Sandy with Hold My Hand, God Damn It. The second one is Jen and the Degenerates with Anti Fun Propaganda. The third nomination is Lauren Hibbard with Girlfriend Material. The fourth nomination is Pet Needs with Intermittent Fast Living. And the fifth nomination is The Mysterines with Afraid of Tomorrows. One thing I want to quickly say is that if anybody watching this has watched my music awards from last year and stuff, I gave the Special Appreciation Award and stuff like that. I gave a big shout out in those music awards to Orla Gartland. Um, she was the first winner and stuff of the Special Appreciation Award and stuff. I just introduced it and stuff like that for the first time last year. And oh, it was difficult not giving her a nomination for her album this year. Like, she's an incredibly talented musician. This album and stuff like that, the album she released this year, sorry, was so, so good. It was so, so good. But yeah, I couldn't include it in. I just couldn't justify it and stuff like that, putting it in and stuff. And I had to mention it out there and stuff in case anybody and stuff knows sort of her music and stuff like that, knows a lot about her, saw that I nominated her and stuff like that last year. And sorry, I gave her the Special Appreciation Award last year and stuff like that, praising up and stuff like that, how she's got such a fantastic overall discography. And then it's I didn't want it to then look a little bit odd and stuff like that to those people. The fact that I then didn't include her album this year and stuff like that, if I didn't mention and stuff like that that I didn't include it this year, would have came across a little bit sort of odd. So I had to sort of I feel like I had to sort of explain and stuff like that. Stuff like that, explain, sort of acknowledge it and stuff like that that I didn't include it in, but definitely an honourable mention without a shadow of a doubt. And the winner of Album of the Year goes to Pet Needs with Intermittent Fast Living. It was very, very close. It was a very, very close, like, not race, but like that's not the word I'm looking for. It was a very, very sort of close competition and stuff like that between Pet Needs album and Lauren Hibbard's. Like, both albums are absolutely incredible, absolutely incredible. But for me, Pet Needs' album was just better. Like, for me, um, like just from the opening and stuff like that, the album comes in strong with a fantastic kind of, it's a bit like a sort of monologue, sort of prologue and stuff like that by Johnny and stuff like that. The sort of lead singer and stuff like that of Pet Needs and stuff, former guest on the Joining Me Today podcast. And it's such a fantastic monologue, a fantastic setup and stuff for the rest of the album and stuff. Album intros are so important and stuff, and that's kind of why Lauren Hibbard's album to me kind of, that was kind of one of the big negatives and stuff like that, was kind of one of the points that I gave towards Pet Needs album, is the fact that the intro was so good and stuff like that, and you feel like you're getting set up for a Pet Needs experience and stuff like that. And this is what this album 100% is. It's like, it feels like and stuff, it's it's this what I want from a Pet Needs album. All the charm of the band and stuff, everything that band can bring to the table, they bring to the table here. You know what I mean? You get a full fantastic, you know, Pet Needs experience and stuff like that with this album. You know, you go from the opening song and stuff like that, which is a brilliantly sort of written and stuff like that, very authentic and stuff like that, opening and stuff like that song. And then you dive straight into Separation Anxiety, which is a fantastic, fantastic punk song. It's absolutely fantastic. The transition from that sort of slowness and stuff like that of the sort of intro, that very, like I said, dramatic. You feel like you're in a like some Pet Needs theatre or something, and then it just leads into this just punk sort of anthematic greatness and stuff like that with Separation Anxiety with its fantastic songwriting. Fantastic songwriting is something that this album has throughout and stuff like that. Like you can really like feel and stuff like that. Like I said, the authenticity of the lyrics and stuff like that, the creativity and stuff. It's just a fantastic, fantastic punk album and stuff. And another thing as well, which made it stand out to me to many sort of other albums this year, was that I felt like the songs on the album not only really came together and stuff like that to make a real complete album experience and stuff like that, a sort of really great album experience, which I feel like a lot of albums don't do, where there'll be a few songs on it that are great, and then sort of the rest of the album and stuff like that won't really live up to those kind of it won't it that it's that that sorry, I'm buffering. Those um what you'll end up having and stuff like that with many albums, I think I've explained this before and stuff, is that many albums, as you sort of go through and listen to them and stuff like that, you'll end up skipping songs on that album. You know what I mean? Or sort of many songs and stuff, they don't feel like they're adding much. Whereas I feel like with this album and stuff, every song stands out on their own and stuff like that. Each song on this album and stuff feels like and stuff like that. It's its own little sort of world. It's its own little song world. It's its own little thing and stuff like that. That's what you need in an album. It's so important. You know, every song has to matter. You know what I mean? You can't just rely on a few singles. Lauren Hibbard's album is fantastic, Girlfriend Material, but in my opinion, I just feel like certain songs on there just feel like they just don't reach and stuff like that the heights that they should. Whereas on this album, they do. So many great songs on this album. Like I said, Separation Anxiety and stuff like that. You've got the opening song, Lucid, I believe it's called. Its name's escaping me at the moment. You got Sleep When I'm Dead. You got The Optimist. Just, it's an absolutely fantastic, fantastic album. And it definitely deserves 100%, 100% album of the year. Okay, so now we are moving on to the previous guess awards section of. You would think I would plan beforehand like an actual proper title for that section instead of making it so obvious that I've just winged that in the moment. But anyway, this is staying in. I don't care. But anyway, we are moving on to, like I said before, and stuff like that, the previous guest sort of mini awards and stuff like that section and stuff. And let's dive straight into the album slash EP of the year. The winner of album slash EP of the year probably isn't a surprise. It's also Pet Needs with Intermittent Fast Living. For music video of the year, we have Crash Face with Maniac. And for song of the year, we also have Crash Face with Maniac. Congratulations and stuff to and stuff at Crash Face and Pet Needs and stuff like that for winning those sort of awards. And obviously a big shout out to all the bodies of work, all of the songs, all of the music videos of my previous guests and stuff like that. You know, like we don't just get any old guests on here. I always bring you guys and stuff like that, the best guests with the sort of best music and all of that. But now, in all seriousness, though, and stuff like that, massive shout out to obviously all of the work released this year by all of my previous guests. If you guys can check out as much of their stuff as you can and stuff, you guys definitely should. It's now time to move on to music video of the year. The nominations are Crash Face with Maniac, Fizz with Secret to Life. The third nomination is She's in Parties with Puppet Show. The fourth nomination is The Last Dinner Party with Caesar on a TV screen. And the fifth nomination is The Mysterines with Stray. And the winner of Music Video of the Year goes to Fizz with Secret to Life. It's the Secret to Life, isn't it? It's not Secret to Life. Dang it. It's staying in. It's staying in. It's staying in. But anyway, I'm so happy that I get the chance to talk about this song this year. This is basically and stuff the only way I could have spoke about how great this song and stuff like that sort of was this year in terms of like in the music awards. I actually did get to speak about it and stuff like that earlier this year in my in episode 22 when I went to interview Lake Malice. I actually did a song recommendation and stuff like that for this song. I shouted out this song and stuff like that in that episode, and I even said in that episode, if my memory serves me correctly, that I feel like this music video might end up being music video of the year. And there was many great videos released this year, but I just kept going back to the I kept going back to this song. I kept going back to this music video. I mean, like The Secret to Life. It's absolutely fantastic. It's why I'm so happy that I get to talk about this song again. It gives me an excuse through the music video because this song was released last year, so it's the only way I get to talk about it this year. What an amazing song. What an amazing album. Fizz, I'm so sad that they're and stuff like that taking a hiatus at the moment and stuff like that. I really wish that we had a second sort of album on the horizon and stuff, but at least we get to appreciate what they've already sort of released for us. And The Secret to Life is one of the amazing things and stuff like that about the album and stuff. It's one of those sort of music videos and stuff like that. It's very important for music videos and stuff like that. There's a few things that are very important in terms of like what makes a music video great, and it's holding your attention. It's having things in the music video that stick out in your mind. It's having sort of cohesion and stuff like that. Everything feels like it comes together nicely, and the fact that it's highly rewatchable. Those are the main important things, and obviously the song being good and stuff like that. But sometimes music videos can even get away with that. Those are the four most important things. It feels weird going four, but with the pinky down instead of the thumb and stuff. I just clocked that. But yeah, it does those things amazingly. It does those things absolutely fantastically. It is highly rewatchable and stuff like that. It's got some fantastic sort of visuals and stuff like that in there. It fully it like sort of showcases the charm of the band and stuff like that. You feel like you're getting a fantastic Fizz experience and stuff here. The music video and stuff like that is basically well, I might as well like probably break it down. The beginning of the video and stuff like that feels like it's like some intro to some like kids TV show from the 80s or 90s or something and stuff like that, which is incredibly sort of charming and stuff like that. That is incredibly and stuff like that sort of cool to see. And then it leads in and stuff like that to a section and stuff where the members of Fizz and stuff like that are sort of workers and stuff in a carnival and stuff like that, sort of like a carnival sort of setting and stuff. But you can see that they're just sort of being happy and all of that just at work. They're not actually sort of happy with what they're doing, and they basically find and stuff like that. And they kind of realize they're in a sort of video, and they kind of sort of find a way to kind of get out of this mess and stuff like that that they're sort of in, you could say, and stuff like that. And they try to sort of get to the behind the scenes of the music video as such. But like it's funny because a concept like that I wouldn't normally sort of like if you just told me the music video is like that, I'm gonna be like, oh, I bet it's not actually that great. But Fizz and stuff like this sort of music video and stuff like that, it does it tremendously. It takes that concept and does a tremendous job and stuff like that of making a music video and stuff like that out of it. And it suits the song so well. Like I said, you've got that intro section and stuff where it's like, and it's a perfect representation of the album and stuff like that. You've got the beginning section and stuff like that. Like I said, that's basically feels like some intro to some kids' TV show. And then it just goes straight in. and stuff like that. It just straight up just drops an S word right at the beginning and stuff. But that's kind of the charm of the album. It's kind of you got this more sort of sweetness to the sort of album, but mixing it with sort of more sort of serious themes, sort of a little bit of authenticity and stuff like that, sort of maturity there. Like that's the brilliance and stuff like that of like the album and stuff like that, and sort of this music video and stuff like that, like perfectly represents that and stuff like that. Like I said, artistically, it's fantastic and stuff like that. Like it's got sort of great visuals and stuff like that, great set design. It represents the band fantastically. And what makes it stand out to me as well, which is like that extra little sort of kind of like you got your sprinkles on the cake, and now we're gonna put some even more sprinkles sort of on the cake and stuff like that. You got the cherry on top. Well, we're putting another cherry on top of that cherry on top of that cake. What this music video, that was a crazy analogy. That was a crazy like sort of image and stuff. Yeah, what this music video does and what Fizz do fantastically is what many bands don't do is that they showcase each member as being important. It's not just about the sort of lead singer and stuff like that, or like a couple of these sort of lead singers and stuff like that. Like it just focuses on like one or two people. Every member of that band matters, and every member of that band brings something fantastic to the table and stuff like that. And this music video is another representation of that. You know what I mean? Like this band is just amazing. They're absolutely fantastic. And this music video and stuff like that is just a brilliant showcase of why they are so amazing and why sort of and sort of this music video and stuff like that like was definitely the best music video of this year. Okay, so now we are moving on to the Special Appreciation Award. This was an award that I introduced last year for the first time, and stuff. It wasn't in the inaugural and stuff like that, music awards and stuff for the podcast. And last year's winner, as I mentioned earlier, was Orla Gartland and stuff like that. She was the first winner of this award, the inaugural. And stuff. I'm not just using that word again just to try to be fancy and show that I know big words. Try to find where I'm actually joking there and where I'm actually being serious. But anyway, and stuff. Basically, and stuff. This award and stuff like that is it's basically kind of like the Lifetime Achievement Award, but it's not necessarily for somebody who's had a 30-year career or something like that. It's basically and stuff like that an award and stuff about sort of giving a shout out to an artist and stuff that's not just done a few good songs and stuff like that or has had a really good album, but it's about showcasing someone who I feel like stands out from the rest and stuff, somebody that I really want to sort of shine a spotlight on and stuff like that and showcase how sort of they are sort of like sort of as sort of an artist and stuff like that, how they are sort of like this complete sort of package. You know what I mean? You know, they're sort of fantastic when it comes to sort of, you know what I mean, like songs and albums and sort of how they present themselves and their songwriting and sort of, you know what I mean, their sort of like personality and just sort of somebody who is just really sort of special and stuff like that to the music industry and stuff like that. And like to me specifically, that I sort of like an artist and stuff like that that I really connect with and sort of means a lot to me. And this year's winner of the Special Appreciation Award is going to be Lauren Hibbard. I already gave her a nomination for her Girlfriend Material album and stuff like that. I did it earlier on and stuff like that in this episode. Words can't even describe how amazing Lauren Hibbard is and stuff like that as a music artist and stuff. But I am going to try, and I actually do have quite a few notes here already. So there are words to describe and stuff actually why and stuff she deserves this award and stuff. But all jokes aside and stuff, Girlfriend Material. There's a reason why it got basically second for the album of the year and stuff award, and it just missed out on winning it because it's a fantastic album. It's a really fantastic album. Her first album, though, is even better. Her debut album, Garage Band Superstar, in my opinion, is one of the best, sorry, albums by an artist at her level, like of the 21st century. In my opinion, it's one of the best pop punk like sort of sort of indie pop kind of albums and stuff of all time. It's actually quite funny because she cites and stuff like that Weezer as one of her inspirations, as one of her biggest, I believe her biggest inspiration. I think she's better than Weezer, and I don't think she realizes that. Like, like not even just talking her two albums, her whole discography and stuff like that has so many fantastic songs in there. You know what I mean? Like even stuff from her more sort of early career, stuff like Cool Shotgun and stuff like that. It's it even has a different sort of sound to it compared to what she has now. Like it went more on that kind of indie pop sort of side, and now we see her doing more sort of pop punk sort of stuff. Like that early stuff is fantastic, sort of indie rock stuff at the beginning kind of stuff. Her early stuff's amazing, and her stuff now is amazing. That to me showcases an artist that is something special when they can sort of switch up their sound, but still like produce amazing music. And it could definitely be argued that she's gotten better over time, whereas a lot of artists don't necessarily do that. You know what I mean? Especially if they change their sound and stuff. A lot of people and stuff like that tend to then not like the new stuff they put out. That's not Lauren Hibbard and stuff. That is definitely not her. She is a fantastic artist and stuff like that. Still running 5K is the best song she's ever done, and it is one of the best songs that I've ever listened to and stuff like that. In the I would say, yeah, one of the best songs I've ever listened to. I'll say that. And so I was thinking in my head, like, do I really believe that? And I went, no, I do. I do. No, I do believe that and stuff. I do believe it is one of the best songs I've ever listened to. Um, like, I think it's quite funny. I've even wrote a joke here in my notes actually saying about how she's considered slacker pop and stuff like that. That's the sort of way and stuff like that. That's the genre she's described as being a part of, but she is not slacking in the slightest. In the slightest. Like her music is really is something sort of special and stuff like that. And I just feel like as well, like I sort of said, you know what I mean, stuff like personality and stuff like that, you know what I mean, sort of how you present yourself and stuff like that as an artist is incredibly important as well. And I feel like sort of Lauren Hibbert and stuff like that, her authenticity and stuff like that, she's very down to earth and stuff like that. She feels like she is like sort of you feel like she is somebody like sort of special and stuff like that. She doesn't feel conventional and stuff like that. She doesn't feel like she's like a lot of sort of other artists and stuff like that in the alternative indie space and stuff like that. Like you just see and stuff like that sort of you know what I mean her in interviews and stuff like that, and you can tell that she is like something different. Like you can tell that there's it's hard to really get across and stuff like that. The point I'm trying to get across, but it's like kind of if she ever became really really famous, I wouldn't be surprised. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing of like you are gonna be like I feel like to me she is kind of like a modern sort of indie sort of legend already, in my opinion, and stuff like that. I really feel like she is and stuff like that, and she like she deserves that title sort of 100%. And she's got two recommendations, song recommendations on this show, so sort of you know what I mean this isn't like the first time I spoke about sort of how great sort of her music is and stuff like that, and yeah, she definitely deserves this award 100%. Okay, now we are into the last two awards of this year's edition of the JMT Podcast Awards. We've got the Song of the Year awards left to go, and we've also got one of the last of the new categories and stuff, the last sort of smaller category, and that is the EP of the Year award. I'm going to jump straight into that one. The winner of the EP of the Year is going to be Only the Poets with One More Night. So finally, we move on to the most important award of the JMT Podcast Music Awards. Since the beginning, this has been the award that has mattered to me the most. This is the the other awards. They're the princes and everything else, the princesses and stuff like that. They're the prince and princesses awards and all of that. No, this is the king and queen award and stuff like this is the main award of the JMT Podcast Music Awards. Previous winners and stuff. The previous winners of this award in 2022, it was Rina Sawayama with This Hell, and in 2023, it was Hot Milk with Party on My Deathbed. But who's going to be the 2024 Song of the Year winner? And here are the nominees. We've got Crash Face with Maniac. We've got Lauren Hibbard with Second Prettiest Girl in the World. We've got She's in Parties with Puppet Show. We've got The Last Dinner Party with Caesar on a TV screen. And finally, the fifth nomination is 21 Pilots with Overcompensate. I've always done with this award things a little bit different. I don't just, you know what I mean, for this sort of main award and stuff like that category, I don't just give out the five nominations and then sort of say who the winner is. I like to do first, second, and third place officially for this award category. And it's it's been tough picking this. It's been really tough picking this one. It took me ages to even settle on the nominations, let alone settle on first, second, and third. But here we go. Here are the first, second, and third places for Song of the Year, ascending from third to first. In third place is The Last Dinner Party with Caesar on a TV screen. In second place is She's in Parties with Puppet Show. And the winner of Song of the Year goes to Crash Face with Maniac. Crash Face getting 3 awards in the JMT Podcast Music Awards, and it's because Charlie, Otto, the guys at Crash Face, they deserve it. They really, really do deserve it. Maniac is absolutely fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. It is one of the best kind of like sort of alt metal and stuff like that, kind of a bit sort of new metal kind of songs that I've heard and stuff like that ever. It is absolutely brilliant. It's got a fantastic intro and stuff, and then it comes in with that brilliant sort of techno sort ofness and stuff like that that I absolutely sort of love and stuff like that. And it's a song where it just keeps up the energy that it builds up to in the beginning and stuff like that. It keeps you engaged. It keeps you and stuff like that, sort of in the moment and stuff like that, in its world. And it's a song that you just want to mosh to the moment you hear it. Every time you hear it, you just want to be in a mosh pit and stuff, just mosh into it. Like it just keeps up, like I said, that energy and intensity, but it does it well as well. It's not just like it's loud for 3 minutes. You know what I mean? It does it fantastically and stuff. It's a brilliant and stuff like that representation of Charlie's vocals and stuff like that, what he can bring to the table vocally and stuff. He's fantastic in this. The and stuff like that. It's such a fun song and stuff like that to obviously not just listen to. Not It's not just a song that you just want to mosh to, but it's a song that you just love to sing along to as well. And actually, Sam Matlock of Wargasm actually features and stuff on this song, and he's part as well. So like sometimes when you get features on songs, it's like, oh, it's not really great use of them and stuff like that, or it's like, oh, it's all right, you know what I mean? It's good, it's nice to see him in there. No, they fully sort of got the best out of their opportunity of having Sam on that song and stuff like that. Their mate Sam, his part is absolutely fantastic. It takes the song to another level and stuff. It's just a brilliant song. It's so good. I'm so sort of proud and stuff of the guys and stuff like that for making and stuff like that this fantastic song. It was great speaking to them and stuff like that last year and stuff like that, getting to hang out with them for a little bit and stuff. They're incredibly, incredibly talented guys, and Maniac is a brilliant, brilliant representation and stuff like that of how great they can be. And for me, the reason it stands out and stuff, why it's not just a great song, but why it gets first place and stuff, is because of how well it does. Like I said, stuff like keeping the energy going, keeping you engaged and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Sort of how well it does sort of different how well it does sort of the different elements that are important and stuff like that. Like sort of for a song, like it's a song where you can tell it's one that you're gonna love in 2 3 years time after you first heard it. It's not a song that's gonna sort of be like, oh yeah, I feel a bit nostalgic when I hear this, but I've moved on to things that are sort of better now, or whatever. No, you're still gonna love this song in 2 or 3 years time, without a shadow of a doubt. It just does so many things fantastically. Like I said, Charlie's vocals and stuff like that. You know what I mean? They stand out already. They this is like the best example of how outstanding his vocals are and stuff like that. Sort of like I said, the intensity and stuff like that. Sort of what Crashface can bring to the table is fully sort of presented here and stuff like that. It's just a really 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 good song, and it definitely deserves Song of the Year. And that's it. That is the JMT Podcast Music Awards for 2024 and stuff. I'm so happy that I get to do this again. I absolutely love doing these podcast music awards and stuff like that. It's one of the best things that I get to do and stuff like that for the podcast. And I'm so sort of, yeah, like I said, I'm just so happy to do it again and stuff like that. A big shout out to all of the nominations and stuff, all of the winners and stuff like that. And if you guys can and stuff, check out as much of the stuff that's been shouted out, spoken about in these awards and stuff like that. That would mean a lot to me and stuff, because all of this stuff, all of these sort of nominations and winners, they all mean a lot to me. There should be playlists available actually where you can easily access and stuff like that. All of the winners and nominations and stuff in sort of kind of like one place and stuff like that. You can find it sort of all on my channel and stuff like that, all in proper organized playlists if you want to check and stuff like that, the different songs, music videos, etc. out and stuff. You guys definitely should. And yeah, that's been the music awards for 2024. And now it's time for the main portion of this episode. Bailey from definitely the future and not the past, because this definitely hasn't been recorded after the interview that's just about to come up. So let's jump to Bailey from the future for the main portion of this episode. Another, there we go. Fantastic interview. Hello, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Joining Me Today podcast featuring me, Bailey Lewis Smith. I don't know why I said featuring, I'm the host. I've somehow guested myself in my own podcast. Here we are, though, and stuff on the Joining Me Today podcast. I've got another fantastic episode for you guys. Episode 29 of the show, the first episode of 2025. Yes, it is. I had to double check in my head then. Yes, it is the first episode of 2025. And before we get started onto the main episode and stuff, or the main part of this episode, obviously we're about 30 minutes into this episode, or however long my recording thing took, because it's also the Song of the Year Awards, or the sort of JMT Podcast Music Awards, before this part of the episode, as you guys have just seen. And I just want to give a massive shout out once again and stuff like that to the winner of the ultimate prize and stuff like that of my music awards for the Song of the Year. Shout out to Crashface and stuff with their song Maniac and stuff. They've been a guest on the show, actually was on the previous episode. I loved Maniac, that song, so much, and to me it just deserved Song of the Year so much. And sort of shout out to all the other winners and nominees and stuff of the awards this year. But anyway, now on to the main portion of this episode. Today I am joined by one of the top rising, brilliant prog rock bands out there in the scene at the moment. And so I'm so glad to be having them on the show today. Welcome to the show, Giant Walker. How you guys doing?
We're good, thanks. Thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you guys and stuff like that. And this is actually a little bit special and stuff actually and stuff like that, having you guys on, because this isn't just a standard episode, but we're actually here and stuff to celebrate and stuff an upcoming festival appearance you guys are going to be having. And my podcast and stuff is basically one of the sort of media sort of people and stuff like that for the Truefeel podcast that you guys are going to be sort of performing at and stuff like that. So it's a bit of celebration of that, and we're doing a bit of promotion of that. So we're going to jump straight into that. Truefeel Festival and stuff. How are you guys feeling about it? Are you excited to go play at the festival?
Yeah, it's going to be actually a really fun festival for us because it is where we currently live. At least myself, Jamie, and Jordan currently live in Guildford. It's at the Electric Theatre, which is kind of in Guildford town centre, and I guess it's also kind of got a bit of history for us as well, because we actually all met at the Academy of Contemporary Music in Guildford. Well, that's kind of where we met Alex, where we kind of started as like the four of us anyway. And we played at the Electric Theatre. It's probably, I was going to say it was the warmest gig we ever played. I don't think any of us have ever been as sweaty. And they decided to bust out the pyro as part of it as well, without actually us knowing beforehand. So we were like in the middle of this like I don't know, it was like the breakdown of the song, and like all just like dripping, and suddenly like some flames come up. So that was pretty wild. But I was going to say it was the warmest gig ever, but actually I think that might have been knocked off the top spot by the tour that we did in July at Xerox in Newcastle.
Oh yeah.
I think that might now hold the top spot. So I guess there's still time for it to be beaten. But yeah, so we played the Electric Theatre. I don't know when that would have been. 2016 was it?
It was. Yeah,
when we
ago.
finished uni, so it's quite a long time ago, and so it'll be really interesting to go back now. I also work at the ACM now, so it's kind of funny that it's kind of my workplace that I'm playing, so that'll be just quite interesting. So yeah, we're really excited to play at the Electric Theatre again, and yeah, it'll feel like a bit of a
throwback
to past times. So yeah.
And it's really awesome the fact that you guys and stuff are actually, well, you're from Guildford, isn't it? So it's kind of, it's a hometown gig, but a hometown festival gig. That's actually like quite cool. And because you guys aren't originally from Guildford either, you guys are originally from Newcastle, I believe, if I'm correct.
Yeah, so we're originally from Newcastle. Alex lives up in Newcastle now. But as I say, we moved down to Guildford to study at uni. And so we've been here for about 10 years now. And so yeah, it's kind of like second home, I guess. And obviously like a lot of stuff has kind of happened down here. Like we've been in Guildford since we were 18, so it's very much kind of bit of a hometown festival.
Well, it's going to be sort of quite cool for me, because when I go down there, I've never even been there before. So for me, it's going to be my first time and stuff. You guys might have to, off camera, you might have to give me some tips about things I've got to look out for, or some nice places to eat. Is there anywhere and stuff like that? Like if people are out and about that day, anything they should check out? Anywhere they should go to?
If I'm honest, Guildford is, I think Guildford's fairly disappointing with its food. With its food options.
There's quite a lot of chains.
There's a lot of chains, basically.
Yeah, there's not a load of...
Guys, we're trying to promote this festival, just so you know, we're trying to promote the...
Festival's going to be great.
You know what, guys? Don't even eat. You know what I mean? You must bring your own food.
I mean, there's good stuff. If you're looking for if you're looking for the next level, though, you know what I mean? Like one of those gems, like those independent food spots where you're like, oh my god, you can't get that anywhere else. There's not really...
There probably is places, to be fair, but...
Maybe we're just hermits. Maybe we don't go out enough to actually find decent places. If you like burritos, there's a couple of good Mexican places.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of Mexican places.
And that's pretty much... I think that's probably as good as it gets.
There's quite a lot of nice like brunch and like fancy pubs and stuff. I guess that's what Guildford's known for, really. Surrey in it.
Fancy pub food.
Fancy pubs. That's kind of the vibe. Or like a million coffee shops. There's so many coffee shops.
If you want a good coffee, there's plenty of good coffee places.
There you go. You guys recovered it at the end, so we got there. We go. They do actually have good places. We just had to think about it a bit, but they've got some good places there and stuff. But yeah, it'll be exciting and stuff like that. Though, like all jokes aside and stuff, I'm excited to go head down there and stuff. See you guys perform. See everybody else sort of on the lineup and stuff, and just sort of to do a proper sort of rundown, a bit more about the festival and stuff. Actually, a couple of former guests and stuff like that from this show, stuff that have been on the show are going to be there. The headliners are Lake Malice and stuff, I featured in an episode about a year ago now, actually, thinking about it. It would have been, last March. Yeah, it would have been last March. So they're going to be headlining, and the Crash Face, who I mentioned previously and stuff, the winner of the Song of the Year and stuff this year, they're also going to be sort of down there and stuff. So yeah, it's going to be an awesome time and stuff. And there'll be links in the description of this video and stuff if you want to go buy some tickets and go see these awesome guys that I've got here with me on the episode as well. So it's going to be a fantastic, fantastic time. But speaking of you guys and stuff, let's we've looked at the present. Let's now go to the past. Let's look at the history and stuff. How did the band all get started in the first place?
Yeah, so I guess kind of touched on that a little bit. So in its kind of in the form that we are now, shall we say?
It's worth mentioning we've obviously played together as a group of 4 individuals before for a long time. Under the current guise of Giant Walker, it's obviously still it's a fairly fresh project. But we've been making music together and playing together. I mean, we're all, to get soppy for a second, we're all best mates. So that connection's been there for quite a while. And then obviously we went to the Academy of Contemporary Music, and that's where we met Alex. Obviously, over 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
Well over 10 years ago, really. Well, not well over. I'm not that old.
Clinging onto the youth.
Clinging onto the 20s like that. But yeah, so that was when we met there, and I think we were under a different band name, and that was very much like the breeding. I think that was the breeding ground, and that's where we learnt a lot of. We just gigged incessantly.
Yeah.
That's where we kind of like honed the craft, so to speak, and then realised that the name and the band at that time was very much. We kind of outgrew the name, and it kind of felt a bit like a uni/college band.
Yeah.
And it felt very experimental, and we were like, look, let's just. Obviously missing the big thing of. The Rona happened, and we were kind of like, look, let's just use it as an opportunity to kind of
have a fresh start,
and sort of, I don't like using the word, but rebrand, and just kind of reinvent it a bit and just start afresh and actually start writing the music that we want to hear. Because like I say beforehand, it was very much like. It was quite studenty, so it was very much like, what can we throw in this song? It was a bit immature, really, thinking back to it, like very raw.
Yeah.
And it was like, let's throw this in the song for the sake of it. And then when we started Giant Walker, it was a bit like, okay, let's just try and write some more musical sounding things.
I think as well, like up until that point, like you say, everything kind of was a bit of an experiment, really, in terms of like just finding our feet with.
Who we were.
Yeah, pretty much, like, to be honest. And I guess it's funny because like they say like, oh, your brain isn't like fully developed until you're like 25, and I do definitely think that is a thing because it kind of takes up to that point where you're just trying out different stuff and you kind of experiment with different things, and you have no money, and you just kind of like, okay, well, let's just do the best we can with literally no money whatsoever. So I mean, up until that point we hadn't spent any money on recordings, really. We'd kind of just DIY'd the entire thing. We did like a number of tours that like somehow we did in the back of my Honda Jazz, crammed full of gear, like
literally wheeling down the motorways because the boot was just absolutely just to the floor, like so illegally overweight.
So it was very much like, like Jamie said, I guess it kind of felt like very, very much like a college band, and we were kind of just finding our feet and like learning ourselves. And then I feel like, it kind of got to COVID, and we kind of realised that that was a good point to like draw a line in the sand and kind of start with something that felt a little bit more, I don't want to say serious, but a little bit more kind of realised.
I just think, like I say, like more musical, like we really took stock and thought like, well, what's, we weren't necessarily, we were proud of what we had done, but if
there was definitely things that would change.
I came to the realization that like if one of our songs came on like, you know, the skip test, basically. If a song comes on shuffle or something, and it's like, how quickly do you, like, if any of our songs came on, I'd pretty much, like, I would skip it every time. And that's because it was a very much, we were a band of moments, where, like, it would be a song where there'd be a good moment in the song, and it'd be like,
that's probably like the first idea that we came up with.
Yeah, that was the yeah, and it was like, oh, this song, but that moment's really great, and it was like kind of forgetting about the song, like, as a whole, like, as the experience of listening to a song, and like, I came to the realization that I wouldn't have listened to any of it. So I think that's definitely comes from just maturing a bit musically and trying not to impress. Like, I think music's not there to impress people. It's there to make people feel something, and like, that could be from something technically very unimpressive.
Maybe that's why it's such kind of, it's kind of a funny thing to have like the kind of prog label associated with it as well, because I definitely feel like there's a lot of stuff that's also not prog about it at all. In that same token, so yeah,
especially in the second album, like in Silhouettes, especially that album, I think it's far less progressive, in my opinion, anyway. Anyway, we're waffling.
No, it's totally fine, guys. It's totally fine. So it's actually quite interesting hearing you guys say then, with this second album and stuff, your Silhouettes album, you'd say it goes away from sort of prog rock and all that, and then, like, why would you say that is? What would you say makes it sort of different from your first album that you would maybe say is a bit more on that prog rock side?
I think with the new album, it maybe has a little bit more of the kind of grungy alternative rock influence in places. Yeah,
I think
is it kind of like a vibe thing? Is that what is it more of a vibe as opposed to specific elements? You see what I mean? Like,
maybe, I mean, part of that I think comes from the fact that if you asked 10 people to describe what they thought the word progressive meant, I think everyone would have a different opinion on what the word progressive actually means in a genre. And to me, I've stopped caring really about trying to categorize progressive, because if by progressive you mean that it doesn't have a very typical song structure, or it has lots of odd time signatures and it's riddled with polyrhythms and all sorts, and the songs are 10 minutes long, then there's nothing progressive about our new album. But if that is progressive, then at my favorite band, one of my favorite bands, Soundgarden, I always give these an example, because there were songs that they've done where the time signatures are a bit weird. Musically, there's elements of that progressive sound, but they were never labelled as a progressive band. It was grunge.
Yeah.
But if you look just at this in the scope of grunge, for example, there were so many bands that were sort of toying with progressive elements.
Alice in Chains as well.
But the word progressive never gets levelled at them. So
the problem is as well, the problem that I think a lot of people fail to see is that genre is made up of musical and non-musical things.
Yeah.
And so, like, obviously grunge, all the bands at the time, like, for instance, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, and Nirvana got called grunge, even though they all sound musically completely different, really, because of the kind of movement at the time. So it's kind of one of those things where, I guess, in the same token, I kind of feel like people don't call things grunge now if it wasn't out of Seattle in the 90s.
Yeah.
For some reason,
it'd be more like alternative.
Yeah.
Or,
so it's
or
like
90s.
It's one of those things where, like, I think, like, it's kind of that weird thing of, like, you can't, I don't know, kind of can't really just call it something off merely the music alone.
But that it also shows that sort of genre seems to change. Like, you can...
Well, yeah, absolutely. If you think of, like, heavy
like,
metal as Black Sabbath, like, if they came out today, they wouldn't be considered heavy metal, would they? Like, let's be honest.
I don't know, like, I think they would be. They're so heavy metal. But, by the same token, if they're heavy metal and Iron Maiden are heavy metal, they sound completely... They're not even in the same world, to me, so... But anyway, we're ranting and waffling again. I think...
That's totally fine. This is a
Yeah,
podcast. You're allowed to rant and ramble. It's fine. We're on no time limits here. It's
yeah.
better to keep me from ranting and rambling. I've seen the analytics on this channel. I know people skip the parts where I speak. But anyway. It's funny because it's true. But anyway, but on a like serious thing though and stuff, would you say sort of in a way, and I know it's kind of like it's a bit of a sky is blue kind of question in music, but would you say that genre's not even that important, especially compared to like other forms of media? It's not as important in terms of, you know what I mean? Like people don't care about labels. You know what I mean? They don't care about that. It's like music has so many different elements and all that involved in it. Even just one song could have about 5 genres you could name it. Do you think that genre is not even really that significant in music?
I think if you're a musician, it's the most insignificant and useless thing because like you know what you like, and if anything, a genre just gives you a preconception of what you think it might sound like.
But that doesn't always.
But it doesn't always
land.
happen like that. Like I say, like we've had the progressive label attached to us for quite a while now, and yeah, there are progressive elements, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's. If there were three, if it was, you know, if you say like, okay, we're heavy progressive rock, let's say those three things, it's by far the least relevant, I would say, of those three.
Yeah,
labels.
but I think by the same token, it's I don't know, it's always so hard to just kind of come up with a label for, like you say, the sound of an album or something. And I think
do you think genre was do you think the idea of a genre was created by musicians, or do you think it was created by?
No, it was definitely created by journalists. 100% it was.
So like, yeah, like case closed. Really, to me, it's like it's literally.
But
irrelevant.
I think at the same time, I guess you could argue like maybe the relevancy of it is like obviously back in the day, like maybe in record stores you'd have stuff organized in genres, and like I guess if you think of today, like Spotify and stuff, like how things are categorized. But it's quite interesting, obviously today things have kind of evolved in like playlist names and stuff. Like some of them definitely are like related to genre, but like some of them are actually quite loose and like random relations. And I think
there's one question you should ask yourself when you listen to music, and it's, do I like it or not? And that's it. Doesn't matter what it is. I mean, I think the Thomas the Tank Engine theme song slaps.
Wait, hang on. Wait, that was like such a brilliant, really serious point, and you were just like, finish the Tank Engine. I was just like, well.
So right, honestly, musically, musicians will back us up on this. Listen to Thomas the Tank Engine, and you'll be like, that's sick. It's the sickest thing. But like, what genre is that then? What genre is Thomas the Tank Engine?
You know, of all the moments in this video, that's getting clipped. That's going to be the thing people remember most. It's actually quite interesting though, like back on sort of a serious thing, whatever. I find it quite interesting what you said, Steff, about the playlist name thing, because it's very true. Like you look at the playlist names, they're not like, oh, this is punk rock, this is alternative metal. It's more about vibes now, isn't it? It's all about this, I don't know, a playlist about if you've gone for a breakup, a playlist, you know, if you're at a party or whatever. It's all this kind of, it's all about vibes and all that sort of now. And you guys in other interviews have spoke a bit about you kind of care about the grooves and the vibes in your song. Like, would you say that that's a very important part of music and your music specifically?
That makes more sense though to me, because to me, if I'm listening to music, it puts me, it makes me feel something, or it puts me in a situation. Though good music does that to me, where I can very much like, I can put myself in the situation that the song is, that the song's making us feel about, or the singer's singing about, or what I'm interpreting that the song is about. So labeling music by the vibe or the feeling kind of makes like a lot more sense. Like, this sounds like someone's, you know, washed up on the shore and they've like just survived a drowning and they're really they're hallucinating, or like, you know what I mean, like that kind of thing. Like that it makes more sense to describe music like that to me.
That might be a little bit random.
Do you not reckon?
I think the idea of like breakup
like,
songs or whatever is maybe more relevant than you just watched it on a beach.
The thing is, though, I get what you're trying to get at. It makes you think of, I don't know, like a movie scene, or but
Yeah,
it's not even just like this is a
Yeah.
love song. You're picturing, I don't know, it's like you at a movie theater with a partner, or it's that kind of you get a whole visual world sort of from a song, like from a vibe. So I definitely sort of get what you mean. Speaking of visuals, speaking of vibes and all stuff like that, I've got to talk about this because I got to admit, it was like I saw it for the first time the other day and I was like, this is amazing. Your guys' Time to Waste video. It is so amazing. Honestly, it is so good. You've got to tell me how that one all came about.
That's funny you say that because that literally like
that
was the lowest budget video that we've made so far.
But it's so good that like just cinematography alone, it's fantastic. And I'm not even just like exaggerating. Like, no, I think it's brilliant.
Oh,
Oh,
thank
thank you,
you.
man.
We're gonna have to put a video actually on Instagram of like the raw footage.
Oh man, the behind the scenes of that video, man. Like we were like we really had kind of all our budget at that point for the album. We had paid for. We had obviously done the recording. We had done a couple of videos at that point, and we were like, oh, we need a Time to Waste has to be a single though. So what do we do video wise?
Yeah.
And we were like, why don't we just do like.
It went through a lot of ideas as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Like I had this like animation like thing, and I was
We were
thinking
like,
about
can we get
something walking or like I don't know, like we were really stuck. And then I was like, that's gonna cost loads of money. And then I don't even know how it came about the idea that we did.
I just think we were like, let's just get a green screen and see.
Yeah,
What we
so
can
we
do with it.
basically ordered like a green sheet online and stuck it up.
In our bedroom.
Yeah, like the wardrobes, like tucked it in the in the top of the wardrobe, and then we did like a trial run in the morning. This was like a proper warm day. I remember like football was on stuff. So like World Cup or something.
I think World Cup was on, yeah.
Yeah, so we recorded like each other's videos, and it's literally just like us basically playing or singing the song in front of this green sheet. And then basically when we put the footage, because I think I was playing around with footage in Final Cut beforehand,
Yeah.
and there was like this cartoon effect. And when I put it on, obviously you took the green screen out and then you put the cartoon effect on. It actually looks almost like we've obviously been animated.
Well, it was more than just the cartoon effect. We spent
we
spent a long
chucked
time.
quite a lot of effects on
the
it.
good thing about that is it felt really creative because
Yeah.
you could, even though we are kind of very. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing on Final Cut. You obviously have a bit more experience.
That's the thing. I say it was the lowest budget video. Actually, the Optophobia video was also free.
Yes, yeah. But
And Left to Right.
Yeah, but
So we'd done some previous videos as well, like just with stock footage, and that's kind of what we originally think I'd do. But then I was like, oh, doesn't quite fit the vibe, and yeah, so it kind of just
not only
came
that,
together.
it's like that's.
It was also originally just going to be me plus other footage, and then we'd recorded you.
I can't remember.
And then Jordan came in from work, and he was really, really looking forward to watching this football match. And we were like, can you just please come up and record this video? And he was so annoyed that we made him do it. He'll tell you himself. Even in the raw footage, he's like, no one gets to see this raw footage because, yeah, he was just like not happy about it. But then in the end, he was happy that I did it. And then because we did all three of us, we were like, Alex, you're going to have to get a green screen. He's in Newcastle at this point, and we're like, need to have this video finished by like the end of the week or something. And I was like, Alex, you're gonna have to get a green screen. Like, can you record the video of you like doing this? And
yeah. So he records it himself.
He recorded it and sent it over to me, and then we just kind of edited it together. So we spent a fair bit of time on like the edit.
But like I say, it was a more creative process than anything else we've done. And everyone had a bit of input, and it was like it just felt it was just cool. Like it was just. I think maybe that's why. Like maybe that comes across that we were just having a load of fun editing the video and just being like, because I think it makes it even funnier knowing what the original footage looks like and knowing I can't believe it's turned out like this. This is quite cool actually. So
you'll have to keep an eye out like on socials. We'll have to dig up the footage. And,
Well, I think kind of like the minimalism of the video, the kind of simplicity makes it brilliant. And I know I'm sort of a bit biased because I'm really big on minimalism and stuff like that. Not like I mean more artistically, not like the way of living and stuff like that. But like you can tell by all of my collectibles and stuff, I ain't minimalistic at all. But like it's minimalism and stuff like that can like it allows you to focus on specific things, doesn't it? You know what I mean? It's not like you're not overcooking it or anything. It allows you to focus specifically on, oh, this singing part or this drum section. And because of that, if you do that right, it could be amazing because it feels like everything feels more vibrant. Like I said, it's not sort of overcooked, whatever. And I feel like your guys' video there does a great job of that. And I didn't see it as low budget. I thought it was awesome. So you guys should be definitely very proud of that.
Job done. Job
Thanks
done.
so much.
That's what you need. The top review from the JMT podcast. That's what I'm
Yeah,
here for.
yeah, man.
100%. 100%. We spoke about the past. We spoke about the present. We spoke about your amazing Time to Waste music video and stuff. I got to geek out a little bit about that. So I'm really happy all about that. But now I want to talk about, and it's definitely not because I forgot to do it earlier in the episode, because the music awards thing has thrown me off my usual way of doing things. On every episode of the main sort of show, I like to get my guest song recommendation. I get my guests to basically shout out and stuff like that, a song and stuff. It could be one of their own, or it can just be like, their mate's song or sort of a song they've heard maybe years ago, whatever, a song that they want to just recommend out there, basically give a shout out. I don't know why I'm overcomplicating what a music shout out is, but anyway, and stuff, I would usually do it myself, but because of the music awards and stuff, that doesn't happen on the music awards and stuff episodes. But sorry guys, if you haven't thought of one sort of already as I'm talking, I'm going to put you on the spot now, so you can't escape from it. So music recommendations, what you guys thinking?
Pin It Down by Madison Cunningham.
That is a good one.
That is mine. If you haven't,
Have we got to go individually?
could be
If you can go individually, sorry.
right.
That's the rules. I don't make the rules, even though this is my podcast and it's self-produced.
Ooh.
This is quite hard. One single song.
3,
No,
2,
don't do that.
1.
Don't do that. Don't like that. It's quite hard, isn't it? Because then you do go like with
Just go something
something great, the best song ever. That's quite a hard choice in itself. Would you go for like something that you've been listening to recently, or?
Well, that's the thing. It can literally be like, as it doesn't have to be your favorite song. It can literally be something you listened to yesterday that you like. So it's whatever you're vibing with.
What's your personal, one of your favourite songs of all time, personally? I think I could pick one. I could pick one that you're not thinking of.
Go for it.
Day I Try to Live.
All right, yeah, fair enough. These are too obvious, though.
Is it obvious? I feel like it's slept on.
Okay.
But it's not my suggestion. It's your suggestion.
That is true. That is
Not
true.
to put pressure on you, but I will be honest. This is the record for the longest wait between me asking the question and someone giving a suggestion.
That means I'm thinking about it really hard. If I'm going for like top songs ever, yeah, probably would have to be Day I Try to Live is a great one. Or see now I'm just gonna reel through a load of songs that I really like. You've got to decide which one's the top. That's how I'm gonna get around this parameter. I hope you're alright with that.
Those Edit Bailey right now is going to be so annoyed.
Or another one that always comes to my mind for favourite songs is Someone's in the Wolf by Queens of the Stone Age. Or...
That was it. That's fine.
Okay, fine.
Someone's in the Wolf, Queens of Stone Age, because that one's quite underrated, I think.
It is an
Not many
underrated
people know about that tune.
Queens of the Stone Age song.
So,
Well, I appreciate the Queens of the Stone Age love and stuff. I think they're amazing and stuff. So I definitely am going to be bigging up that song, and great recommendation as well, Jamie, as well. Two great recommendations and stuff by these guys. We got there in the end and stuff. I was thinking we was having to go another 10, 20 minutes in just this recording, but no, we're all good. We're all good. Like I said and stuff, we spoke about past, present. We've even done your guys' song recommendations now. But now I want to look at the future. We've obviously already spoke about your performance at Truefeel and stuff like that. Once again, guys, if you guys can go in the link in the description and stuff, go get your tickets and stuff for it if you're interested in going. But what are your guys' outside of that? What are your guys' future plans? I know you did just release an album last year, but is there maybe already plans in the work for a next album or maybe an EP?
In terms of future releases,
It's quite early. I think I'm always kind of on the hunt for new ideas. Like,
we kind of jamming a few bits.
yeah, I've kind of, there's a backlog of ideas that I need to troll through again and see if I can expand on any of them. And equally, Alex has been quite active in sending us a lot of kind of drum ideas, and I just, I think there's definitely, new stuff being worked on all the time, but in terms of like
seeds are being sown.
Yeah, seeds are being planted. They're being, it
hasn't quite got to spring yet. They're just they're simmering. You know what I mean?
Actually, something I've not asked and stuff actually with my music guests and stuff. I always like to sort of compare in terms of, because obviously what you guys do is creative. What I do here is considered creative, or at least I say it is. Is I For me and stuff like that, sort of in terms of when you're thinking of future plans and stuff like that, for like in terms of video making, I feel like you're always kind of, the moment your video's done, you're always on to the next one. But I feel like in music, there's always that time, it's more of a gap, not even just between releases, but in terms of between actually making the sort of music and stuff. I know they're two different mediums, but why do you sort of think that is? Why isn't it a case of the moment your album's out, you're not working on the next one the next week? I know obviously touring and all that's involved, but why is it kind of like different, if you get kind of what I'm getting at?
Yeah, it's a funny thing actually, because so when we released the first album, we had it finished for ages before it got released, and in theory you'd think that we would have started the new album after the first album was released, but I don't think we even started writing it until it was after the first album was released. And it's the same, I guess, with this one as well. Like, I mean, this has been much more of a quick pace thing. So like literally, I think I put a post on Instagram yesterday saying it was like, yesterday was basically a year since we finished recording the album. So it was like from literally finishing recording to being released in 9 months, which is quite a fast turnaround really for an album. Like normally it's, I would say, probably at least a year.
Yeah.
So it was quite a quick pace thing. Like there was a lot of kind of, in comparison to the first album, where there was a lot of time to really think about everything and a lot of time to kind of planning, and it was quite a slow process in itself that kind of had its positives and negatives. But I think one of the things that was a little bit of a negative is the fact that, like you say, like as a creator, I think like you do kind of generally feel like you're kind of moving on from ideas, and so like I feel like when the first album was released, although I hadn't really done too many steps towards moving towards the next album, with kind of like, it felt like the songs that would release were kind of old by that point. Whereas I think one of the main differences with this album release is like, because obviously it was such a short time period between writing, recording and then releasing the album, like it's quite nice, all the songs still feel quite fresh. I think coming back to your point, like I don't know, I kind of do feel like you've got a I don't know if it's a Rick Rubin quote or something else, but it's like you've got to think about your like input in order to like output stuff that's creative. That's not the direct quote, and I've totally butchered it, but you get the idea. I think you've got to think about like what you're bringing in to your mind to like then create stuff coming outwards, and I think it is kind of part of that.
Well, it's because inspiration just comes in waves.
Yeah.
Or at least for me, like I'm not I wouldn't say I'm like a prolific songwriter. Like some people are just writing all the time and never stop. And they've got like, their phone's literally got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of song ideas, like full songs. You know what I mean? Whereas for me, I baby them, I mother them, and I'm like, no, I need to try and like finish this song and I need to see it through. Like I can't just leave a song. I'm like, just once I start a song, I'm like, I'm gonna finish this now.
Yeah, you are quite like.
I'm just, whatever I'm focused on at that point, I'm like, that's what I'm doing. Like I'm just doing that.
Yeah.
And if I'm in the songwriting kind of mode, I'll just be in here. I'll be in this room for a full, like, just days. That'll be what I want to do. And then
I think
hopefully an album comes out of that. Like,
I think because of that though, because it's such like an all-encompassing process.
Yeah.
The kind of, you need the time away from it.
Yeah.
Whereas I think for the people that are writing all the time, it's like kind of like a 10 minutes here and there, and kind of like that's not your whole day. Whereas I think the way that you write stuff is very much like tunnel visioned in that respect. Do you know what I mean? So it's like I'm like fully like every moment when you're awake and asleep, you're thinking about like the song. So I kind of feel like in that respect, that's kind of why.
I think
there's a bit of like,
I think waiting for that first idea to happen, like that first idea that really gets you excited, where you're like, oh my god, this is a sound, like this is a song, like not just like an idea, like where you're like, this is a full song. I think that's when it starts and everything starts to kick into motion, and we haven't got that right now, really. In a nutshell, inspiration comes in waves.
Because like the reason I asked that and stuff like that, I actually spoke about sort of something similar to this and stuff not too long ago and stuff like that. I was funny enough being interviewed myself, actually, funny enough on a podcast and stuff like that, and sort of we was talking about like creativity and stuff like that, and in terms of burnout and stuff like that. And I've always found it interesting. Like I've not sort of made music and stuff like that, so I don't necessarily know how I'd be in that realm. But I just know with video making and stuff, it's like I'm constantly getting inspired, and I've got new ideas all the time and stuff like that. For me, it's quite. I know things obviously take time to sort of, you know what I mean, to work things out, whatever, you know what I mean, to put work towards something. But I always found it interesting and stuff like that, that people don't just think of loads of ideas all the time and stuff like that. So you're not already thinking, here's album 3, 4, 5, because that's how I've always been and stuff. I think of like, with like videos, whatever, and stuff like that. Like after this podcast episode, I'll be thinking of, oh, I can do this, do that, do that, do that. So I always find it interesting when I hear other people then say, like, no, I wait for the inspiration to come, whatever, and stuff like that. It's, you know what I mean? I'm waiting and stuff for the time to let this simmer and stuff like that because it's so different to how sort of I approach things. So that's why I kind of find it interesting. But you guys are actually successful, so maybe you guys are on the right track. But yeah, I always love to talk about creativity as well and process and all that. That's why I spoke about that music video. So that's what I mean. Creativity, I love it. So I always love to get to discuss philosophy and theory about it and stuff like that. But yeah, this has been a fantastic episode with you guys and stuff. It's been great chatting and stuff like that with you guys and stuff. And once again and stuff like that, shout out to your appearance at Truefeel Festival and stuff like that. You guys should definitely go check out and stuff. The link in the description and everything. Go check out the festival. And sort of, yeah, before we go, then I always like to ask this with every main show episode as well. We've got loads of staples here on the main show, loads of reoccurring themes and things we do. If you guys each were to give someone, let's say it was me, for instance, the most important piece of advice you could give someone, sort of what would that be? I've really stumped you guys on this episode, didn't I?
Because it's literally like, what's the most profound thing you can think of right now? I don't know, but I'll tell you a quote that I read the other day that I thought was wicked. And because it's the first thing that's going to come to mind, and I can't think of anything else. Is don't argue with an idiot because they'll bring you down to their level and beat you with experience.
That's good. I like that one. I've never had a quote like that, so that is actually pretty sick. That's actually pretty sick. You got one, Steff? I'm sorry to put you on the spot again, but
I actually do have a quote that I really like, but I'm probably going to say it wrong. It's something like, the reward of our work is not what we get, but what we become. And so it's like the journey of like, I think as well, going back to your point about like creative like processes and stuff, I think it's just like reminding yourself that like to enjoy the process and like enjoy the journey and kind of that's part of the.
Well, that is it.
That is it. That
is it. You wouldn't skip to the last day of your life, would you? To see everything you've achieved, because then you'd be like, oh, okay.
But yeah,
So what a great ending. We're talking about death. Brilliant. We started with life and now we end with death. How fitting. But no, in all seriousness, so that was great pieces of advice, guys, and stuff. That was so great answers and stuff. And oh no, I don't have to do it either. Oh, I guess I get out of saying it. But anyway, in all seriousness though, sort of right before we go and stuff, I'll put the red carpet out to you guys and stuff to shout out and stuff. Anything. What would you guys like to shout out before we wrap things up here?
Go and listen to Silhouettes if you haven't already. It's obviously the latest release, something we're all just ecstatic over and genuinely really proud of. And
hope to see you at Truefeel Festival
absolutely.
as well.
And that is brilliant. And something you guys should definitely go check out and stuff like that. Their album Silhouettes, it's so good. Check out the Time to Waste music video. I'll shout it out again because it is really sick. If you're going to check out anything from these guys, definitely check that out. But anyway, this has been another fantastic episode of the Joining Me Today podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. See you guys next time. Peace out.